welcome to another episode of the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast with me, Karen Maloney. Today I am talking to an Irish couple, Katie and Luke, who are also known as the Ungraceful Guide, and they are self-diagnosed wanderlust sufferers who are travelling the world one ungraceful step at a time. I really enjoyed my conversation with these two. They are so much fun and their personalities just ooze through the conversation, and we touched on so many different topics, from why they went traveling to who really rules the relationship. And then they also share a story towards the end of them living in a treehouse in the Amazon jungle for over a month. Incredible. And a disclaimer, the couple are actually no longer in Bali now anymore. They have moved on since we recorded this. Also, as they are on the road, we did have a few technicalities and difficulties with the internet dropping out. So, just roll with it. If it sounds a bit funny or jumpy in parts, it's not polished, it's not perfect, but enjoy. So welcome to the show, The Ungraceful Guide. I'm so excited to have you on, a.k.a. Katie Hogan and Luke Gibney. How are you?
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's so cool. This is deadly. Thank you so much. We're really chuffed.
I'm so excited to have you on. And I know you're obviously on the road, you're traveling. So fill us in. Where are you at the moment?
Right now we are in Indonesia. We're in Bali. We just got here yesterday. So we've had our first full day. We're staying in Ubud. Yeah.
Nice.
We've been in Indonesia now for, oh my God, about 3 weeks.
It's been 3 or 4 weeks.
Just over 3 weeks now, and loving it. So unfortunately we've hit Bali during rainy season, so it's just like home right now.
Yeah, but they're usually like torrential and then stop.
Exactly. Yeah. There's like little pockets, cloud pockets. So yeah, like we won't complain. There's no cold. There's no cold.
Exactly. I'm sure you're still in like shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
If you're wearing sandals, you cannot moan. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You cannot moan.
No,
I keep saying to Katie that a Bali rainstorm is like a good argument. It's heated and it's over quickly.
Brilliant. Love that. Must remember that. And how is Ubud so far?
It's pretty touristy.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like holidays. I mean, coming from Java, for example, where we were pretty, you wouldn't meet that many tourists. Maybe at the odd attraction.
Yeah.
But day to day, I mean, I feel like there are definitely more tourists than locals here.
Totally. And then Sumatra before that. So we went kind of Sumatra to Java. So it's been getting more populated and more touristy the further we go.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Yeah. Like it is nice.
It's nice, I suppose, maybe to have the mix. I know from, my travel days as well, you really appreciate then the more remote and non-touristy places over the kind of touristy places as well. But, everything's about balance, and it's nice to kind of see both sides as well sometimes.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so before we get kind of run through things and whatever, I want to rewind a little bit first and, hear a bit of your backstory. I know, I see from your Instagram and that and all your posts, you're recently 2 years. It's your 2-year travelversary. Amazing.
It's weird to say that.
Yeah, that's some feat. And like that, I know you're in a hostel now and everything, so hopefully all will go well with Wi-Fi and connection and, people in the background or whatever. So just bear with us, people, listeners. So rewind a little bit first. 2 years ago, where were you? What was going on? And kind of why did you decide to hit the road?
I had to retire from the Chippendales because of a serious knee. I was working as a customer service advisor for a financial institution in Ireland.
Very high-flyed, Luke.
Very highfalutin. Highfalutin. I don't know. I think what happened was we both had kind of gotten to a certain level in our careers where we were happy and we had the comfortable life at home. We had a lovely apartment. We were making really good money. We were settled and things were going great. And then it just kind of got to the point where we were like not content.
Yeah.
Like something was still missing, that way.
Well, I think we were content. Like we were very lucky, I mean, very, very lucky and very grateful for everything we had. But it's like, it's kind of like that pressure at home where it's like, so guys, what's next? And it's like, you can't just enjoy what you have at home. There's always something, you know? So like people kind of started saying, right, like you've got the apartment, you've got the nice job, you've got your little car and your income. Like, are you going to get married? What about kids? Or do you know what? Renting, it's throwing money down the drain, guys. You should save, you should buy your own house, you know, own something. Yeah. What about the mortgage? And I kind of just got to a point where we're like, is this it? Is this? And then what? Like, we tick another box, and then what happens after that? Is it going to be like, okay, now what? So we just sort of were like, we just didn't want to be in that position. We really didn't. And we were like, you know what, this is going to be here if and when we do go back, whether we're 20, 30 or 60. This is going to be here. So let's
sort of... tick boxes are always there.
Always there. And, you know what, we just sort of rebelled. And we kind of weighed it up and we were like... I've always wanted to travel. Luke has done a good bit of travelling. I haven't. I sort of went straight from... school, university into the career. So I didn't really do much traveling. I've always wanted to travel, and I suppose like I kind of hit a place personally for me in my career where I was like, I'm really content, I'm really happy out, but like the journey to here was so fun and challenging, and now that I'm here, you know, I'm like a bit itchy. So yeah, we discussed it, we weighed it up, and we were like, you know what, it's going to be cheaper for us to travel. That's the bottom line. Rather than trying to survive, pay rent, save for mortgage, move home, struggle, and it's getting worse, you know, it really is, especially for our generation. So we ran away. We said, feck it, Peter Pan it, and ran.
I love the way you're like, we just ran away, because it's so funny. I can relate to you so much, like when I took a mad notion there in the summer of 2017 to just like that, pack in my job again and just take off. I hadn't travelled in a long time before that. To be honest, I thought my travelling days were behind me. But like that, I was kind of like, you know, I can totally relate. I was like, yeah, I'm content. This is fine. But I'm like, is this it? Is this all there is? I felt like I was happy, but it was sucking the soul out of me at the same time. I was like, no, this can't be all there is. I was like, it's not actually fulfilling me on a deep level. So I was like, feck it, I'm just going to take my bag and off I go again. Absolutely. So I can definitely relate to you in that point.
I mean, I think with like sort of the pressures in society, that it's really scary. Like people kind of always say it's like, is it not scary? Was it not scary selling everything and taking off? And I'm like, not as scary as trying to save for a mortgage, not as scary as, you know, contemplating marriage, and like, as in not even the marriage part, but like the wedding. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't handle this. Like I don't want to go through spending 10,000-15,000 on a wedding for one day. Do you know, little things like that? I was like, that terrifies me. So I think
not the marriage so much, I'd say.
Yeah,
that's what I'm sitting here going,
just the cost,
great,
the cost.
Terrified.
Just the cost for the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all right, Luke.
You're still in with the chance, Luke. You're still in with the chance. Brilliant. So then when you decided to hit off, did you kind of have, well, where did you take off to first? And then did you have any kind of set plan on how long you might go for, you know, like, I suppose, was there any kind of anthem set, or was just like, look, we'll go for maybe 6 months, see what happens, or a year or two, or try figure something out? Did you have kind of anything in the back of your mind, or just kind of just said, look, we'll see where the wind takes us?
Yeah, we kind of had not so much as a plan, more of an outline of what we wanted to do. So we knew we wanted to start off in South America. We started off in Mexico, but before we left, we did a CELT course, which is the certificate in English language teaching, and we did that in order to have a way of making an income while we were on the road. Because as far as length of time that we were planning on leaving and stuff like that, we always knew it was going to be longer than a year. Initially, the plan was to maybe travel for a year and then settle down somewhere that pays good money to teach English, to save up enough money to go back with a deposit for a house. And then the universe went, you know, that's not what you guys want to be doing at all. You want to be living in a treehouse in the Peruvian Amazon jungle somewhere. That's what you want to be doing.
I love the universe. And I love that that's connected in with you. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Oh, she rules the roost, that universe. We don't want to say
the universe wears the pants in our relationship.
That is fantastic. And I suppose, was that something you were in touch with beforehand, before you left?
Yeah, I'd say yes and no. I mean, to a certain degree,
we're a little more trusting now, aren't we?
Yeah.
And like before, you kind of wanted to have a bit of control over it.
Yeah.
You know, you wanted to sort of kind of arrange your own destiny and like kind of follow your own fate. But now, I mean, we live a bit more in the present, I think, because we wake up and we're like, I don't know, whatever happens today happens.
Like, I suppose in a sense, it's like when you're at home in Dublin and you're in a job where you're working 9 to 5 and stuff like that, and the universe goes to you, you want to throw a surfboard on the roof of your car and head down the country and go surfing. You kind of go, yeah, that'd be nice, but I kind of have to work and I have to do this. Whereas now that we're on the road, and if the universe is like, there's a tribe of people that live in trees somewhere, we're like, ooh, let's go do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like there's no restriction to where we can go and what we can do anymore. Well, apart from financial, but there's always a way around that as well.
Exactly, always. And like I say, once you're kind of more in tune, and like you say, I think we all have it, irrespective of whether we think we do or not. Call it universe, call it intuition, gut, we're all born with it. But even myself, I think I found when you're in the kind of rat race or the blinkers on, definitely I think it's harder to listen to at times, because you just think, oh yes, I know it's calling me, I know that's something I'd really love to do, I feel it, but I have to do X, I have
the logic of it takes over.
Totally. I'm just going to send this email first.
You set your own rules, kind of thing. You sort of create your own boundaries, and now we've just learned that, well, I mean, we can't. The whole point of us traveling is not to like that, get out of the box. We're out of that box, so we just live and let live. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. And I mean, we can have really crappy days, and then we can have amazing days, and it's just you kind of then. I mean, I know I've learned that there's definitely a balance to it. There really is. And I don't even mean just in like terms of karma or anything like that. I just mean that I've a very different perspective on how it all works for me personally, not to go too woo woo, but you know what I mean.
Katie, go too woo woo. What do you mean? I know, because I'm totally with you.
Don't worry, she'll go full woo woo in a minute. She loves the woo with this one.
But you know what I find so funny about woo woo sometimes? People often get scared, or they think, oh, that's way too out there, that sounds too crazy. But actually, so much of it is so embedded in science and research. That I'm like, yeah, it may sound a bit woo woo, but actually if you dig into it, these are kind of different, these thinkings aren't new. The universe is not new. We're not the first kind of people to think, oh my God, there's a universe, there's something bigger out there. When you actually peel it back, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old, and that's why I always find it fascinating. Yeah. So I suppose, okay, well, we'll come back. You started in South America. I'm really interested to hear more in your travels there, because I absolutely loved it. And that's where my recent trip was as well. I'd always wanted to get back there to finish it. But, 2 years on the road as well. I suppose maybe you've touched on it a little, but how have you kind of grown from that? Or what is it? What's kind of some of the biggest lessons that travel has taught you so far?
Ooh. I think for me, like, there's so much, that it's funny because it's very like, it's kind of weird to say, but it's like more about the feeling, isn't it? It's very, and as cliche as it sounds, it's really hard to put into words sometimes. I mean, I definitely find that I'm more adaptable. I was very much of a control freak, very strict in my day-to-days, and I've relaxed a lot. So I think, I mean, there's certain things that I am exposed to, or I live through now that, I mean, if you told me this, that I'd be doing this like 2.5 years ago, I'd probably feel a bit ill. Do you know what I mean? Like genuinely, I'd be like, oh, I don't know, it's turning me stomach even thinking about that. But now it's like, it's just a very normal thing. Like, I mean, even little things like, just like I said, perspective on everything. I was very much, I was a total clean freak, wasn't I? Yeah. I was very, very controlling, over myself, obviously. Jesus, poor Luke, not over Luke. No.
Yeah, you'd never do that.
Now it's more carefree, isn't it? It's more.
Yeah, a lot more easygoing.
A lot more easygoing for me, anyway.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Katie's let go of that, almost that thing of like, that control is an illusion. Do you know what I mean? You can't really control anything. Everything is kind of out of your hands. You can make your plans and stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, things happen.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because that's why you travel, right? Like you travel not to be in this perfectly organized, contained sort of routine. There's no, you want the spontaneousness, you want the random, you want the quirky to happen. So it kind of pulls you out of that, you know, and it forces you to do it. And now it's what you expect. That's what I mean. Like at the start, again, like if you think about going back to Mexico, Guatemala, right through Central America, we researched everything, like everything. We were only talking about this today, weren't we? We researched everything. We would spend hours and knew exactly how and the whats and the ins and the outs. And now we'll just go to a bus terminal, you know, we'll just ask the local, we'll just trust the host. We're definitely, and I mean, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But it opens us up to so much more.
Yeah, there's more flexibility and kind of go with the flow, as opposed to, you know, that fixed concrete plan. So we got just cut off there again for a minute. Must have been a downpour.
Dial up is quicker here.
The dial up. Oh, I know. But anyway, I think well, I know for me anyway as well, it definitely took me time to actually kind of get into the backpack. And like you're saying as well, kind of, you know, let go a bit of the control and adapt and kind of flow a bit more. Like it is, you know, it's tough work. I think people often maybe have the flashpacker idea of traveling and it's all rosy and, you know, easy going and lounging by the pool and cocktails and sunshine. And, you know,
that's what we signed up for.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's why we took off going, this is going to be great. We're going to be tanned. We're going to look fantastic. We're just going to drink cocktails or coconuts and, you know,
oh my God,
live a life by the beach.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's so different. Of actually,
far from it.
It's so hardcore. It really tests your patience. The sweat, the insects, the grime, the fucking insect spray. Oh my God,
It can be really, really tough some days.
And it's mentally exhausting. It's mentally exhausting because we always say you never switch off.
No.
Never. Even if you do find that lovely beach and you do have a coconut in your hand, you are still in your head going, where am I going next? What else do I have to see? You know, how do I get there? What about my visa? Do I need to get a flight? Do I need to get a bus? Like, you know, it's your brain doesn't stop. 100%. I find you don't switch off for a second.
Definitely not.
And how do you work it between you kind of, you know, I used to call them admin days, especially my last trip. I was traveling on my own. And like you're saying, it was just so mentally exhausting because I was like, oh my God, I just want a day off. Will someone just make a decision for me? I was like, please, I don't care. I don't care what bus. I don't care what food. I don't care what road. I was like, I just can't think anymore. And especially, I suppose, kind of traveling on my own again, I had that other level of when I got to, and being a female, in kind of South America, my own, I did have that extra level of, okay, when I get to a bus station, where's my hostel? How far is it? I would Google all these things to be like, how much is a taxi? Are taxis safe? Roughly what cost? So I'd have an idea. So when I was arriving, I'd kind of try and act like, I've been here before, like, oh, the hostel's really close. How can it be that much? And kind of, you know, work it that way. But like you're saying, it's just mentally exhausting sometimes. So who is the decision maker between you? Or do you take it in turns or... It's a hard one.
I think I should take the reins on this one. Katie's the boss.
Okay.
Right. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be forever and ever. No, we joke and we say that Katie's responsible for getting us from A to B, and I'm responsible for making sure we don't starve while we're doing it. That's generally the way the roles work. Katie, from her work in the radio and in marketing and all that kind of stuff, she's very good at investigating and researching and digging up all the, you know, the best ways to do this and all that kind of stuff. And so she would be the main driving force behind the logistics of where we're going, how we're getting there. And then I kind of look after the budget and the food.
Two very important points. And budget will definitely come to one stage. But just since you mentioned like all the investigating and the research, I mean, kudos, Katie. It's a tough job. But, you know, obviously you still must do a lot like that. It is mentally exhausting. It does take a lot, because between your, I follow you on your Instagram, and your blog as well is fantastic. Like,
thank you.
That just takes so much work. Like, how do you manage it all? And I suppose it comes back to as well, did you kind of, before you started traveling, did you always intend to kind of blog or have an Instagram or do stories and kind of updates? Or was it something you kind of picked up along the way that, actually, maybe there's something here that we can try, expand on and work on?
I think what happened was, actually, we kind of had the idea of set a blog just to kind of keep track of where we were going and
just
for
like an
family
outlet,
friends, an outlet,
like a story, a place to just tell our stories.
Yeah, particularly because like Katie's always had a project and something to do creatively, that way. So I think it was just something for us to do. And then what happened was, as our journey evolved and we became kind of more and more budget oriented in the backpacking side of it, we started doing travel guides for people who were doing the same thing, because we just couldn't find any information online for certain things. Like a lot of the blogs are like, oh, you get a bus from here to there and it's really easy to do, but they don't tell you where to get the bus, how much the bus costs, all that kind of stuff.
I think I just got a bit sick of, and I'm not saying like we follow lots of different travel bloggers and they're all awesome, like everyone has their own beautiful niche and it's brilliant, but I think I just got a little bit sick of the reality versus this sort of perception that's out there about traveling. And like I said, they show you the beautiful locations, they show you these amazingly, like, just picture perfect shots, and they write these incredible blog pieces, but they don't delve into how you can follow the way they did it, or like you read about an amazing place and it's like, but how do I get there? What, how much does it cost? Like, it sounds awesome, but what's the logistics behind it? And how much is it going to set me back, and how long does it take? And you see something and it's like, oh, this is a budget backpacker guide to doing this, and then it's like, take a taxi from the airport and it's going to cost $25, and you're like, that's not really
my whole day.
Not really. Like 25, like that's like a week's accommodation in Southeast Asia. So we were like, we should fill that gap, because we had no intention of becoming so scabby and cheap in our ways, but we've fallen into this trap, and it's a beautiful trap, because when people say to us, how are you traveling for 2 years on your savings? And it's like, because we penny pinch everywhere. And I get it, like sometimes people watch the way we travel and they follow our stories and they say, guys, like, you walked a half an hour for the sake of €1, and you're like, because you do that 4 times, that's a night's accommodation. And that's how we think. So we were like, there has to be other people out there that are as scabby as us and want to do this and live like this as well. As we say, the budget bobs and the frugal fanulas, it's for them.
Absolutely. And it's so true. Like, when you are kind of, and that's why, the difference between kind of maybe flash packer and actually backpacking long term. Literally every cent counts. I know it seems crazy to people at home or whatever. They're like, but like you say, it's €1. But honestly, how far €1 could go wherever you are. So it's like, it makes all the difference. So like you say, I'll just walk. Well, I really hope that you're getting recognition and it just takes off for you, because like that, I've just seen the level of detail and the information you give is like incredible. That it takes so much work.
Thank you. It's so nice to hear that, because that's what our goal is. So thank you so much.
Because I can so appreciate, and you'll always be like, oh, find the back way, or this is the way the locals go, or, you do put a huge amount.
The wall.
Climb the wall, jump the gate, mind the dog. But you do, and because that's not easy, like to find all that information as well, it's like a mission and a half sometimes. And like you're saying before, like asking the locals, like you say, sometimes it works, sometimes you can go round in circles. They give you like wrong information, not intentionally, but I think sometimes they just love to give information, even if they have no idea whether it's right or wrong.
Definitely.
So So yeah, I think it's phenomenal.
For every blog post that we have up there that's like, this is how we got there for cheap, or how we got there for free, or you go in this way, or you go in that way, there's at least 2 adventures that ended up with us taking like 3 buses in the wrong direction and paying through the nose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd say about 90% of the information on our website is because we made the mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we didn't do it that way,
And you're saving so many other souls from making those mistakes. So, I think it's amazing, and fair play to you. But speaking about your budget as well, how do you work your budget, or what's your kind of daily budget now that you're working off?
So we work off a weekly budget. It's €150 a week. We live off a budget of €150 a week.
Yeah.
And that's for everything, for food, travel, accommodation. And what we'll always try and do is I'll always try and stretch an extra day or 2 out of the week if I can. Mm-hmm. So say I'll withdraw 150, the equivalent of €150 on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And then obviously the following Sunday we should be withdrawn again, but I'll always try and maybe go to like the Monday or Tuesday, or even a little further if I can, So that's how we do that. We never go over our budget. Yeah, never. It can be tough sometimes, so on a very rare occasion we'll go over our budget, but we'll always try and make it up then. For example, we went into the jungle here in Sumatra and did a trek to see orangutans in the wild.
Wow.
And that was quite expensive, but that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Do you know what I mean? We're never going to have that opportunity again, and the reality is that in 10 years time they may be extinct. So
there really are. There's some things that you just don't want paying for.
Yeah,
though,
exactly.
And I think, like you were saying, this month, for example, we are over budget because we had to take a flight from Malaysia into Indonesia and then fly from Sumatra into Java. So like that crippled us. We spent, I'd say, maybe nearly 3 weeks budget in a week.
Yeah.
So it turns from weekly budget into monthly budget. So then we focus on making sure that we do not go over that 600. So say from last week right up until the end of the month or whenever, we have to scale back. We have to. And we've made some sacrifices. So while we spent I think it was about 70-80 euro each going into the jungle, we have missed out on other things purely because we just can't we have to scale back. And as much as tempting as it is, the reality is this is how we have to do it.
Well, that's it. As well as that is like we see the fact that you're not gonna see everything.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's another way of basically budgeting, is that if we can get in to see something cheap or free, we will. If it's going to be too expensive, sometimes we just have to take the hit on it. We weigh it up on an attraction by attraction basis. I think is the best way to put it. Something that's going to be enriching to us in some way, shape or form for our lives, then we'll pay through the nose for it. You know what I mean? But if it's something that we're going to see down the line in another country, like waterfalls, volcanoes, all that kind of stuff, you're going to see them in other places around the world. You really are. But there's
no, that's absolutely, that makes so much sense. And I know budgeting and whatnot, it can become kind of obsessive and nearly like a game sometimes. So I think you are right to have that flexibility with yourselves as well when it is something, like you say, a once in a lifetime, or something you may miss out on, actually doing it while you're there, because there's no point cutting your nose off to spite your face to regret it 10 years down the line going, why didn't we freaking do it then? And that's, again,
I think it's important
that's the balance. And
I think balance is key, but I also think it's important to remember that like people put pressure on themselves when they go traveling, and it's sort of like you drag this pressure that was put on you when you were at home, for example. So like what we've learned is that every day, if you're walking down a street in a new village, in a new country, that's an experience. You don't need to pay to go to a waterfall or a temple or, or like go kayaking, or you don't need to do all that stuff. And you need to kind of remember that. I think you need to ground yourself a little bit and remind yourself that if you go into a local restaurant and sit where this woman who's serving you has cooked this meal and she can't speak English, you can't speak her language, and you're eating a food that you would never eat anywhere else. That is the experience, and it's cost you €1. But people skip past that. People kind of go, okay, I'm going to eat my dinner, now I'm going to go off and, you know, pay to do this, or jump on this tour to go off for the day, and that's the attraction. So what we try to do is we're like, right, if we arrive somewhere and we cannot see the must-sees, or you know, the top 10s, or whatever all these blogs or people suggest, it's like, what we'll do is we fork out on getting a motorbike, and we will just drive around, stop for a coffee in a local place, pull over to the side of the road if you see guys just hanging out, and jump off. They might chat to you, they might not, you know, you know what I mean? Like, if you see a beautiful view, stop and enjoy it. Like, that's what traveling is for us. And we don't need to see things that have a tourist entry fee or have been recommended by the Lonely Planet, for example. And we always say that to people. We're like, look, don't put pressure on yourselves. Like, don't sit in the common room at the hostel and listen to what other people think you should do. Don't read these blogs and say, you know, you haven't really, have you been to Indonesia if you haven't seen this, you know? And it's like, well, I have, because, you know, I've met this wonderful local, and you know, I travelled on a bus and nearly was killed by Jimmy the mad driver, and you know, and do you know what I mean? Like, little tiny things like that. So as corny as it sounds, be very, very present in it, and just remember that.
No, I think
it's in the little things, I think.
Totally, I 100% agree, and I think, you know, your message translates to every walk of life, and it's something everyone needs to bear in mind. It's finding the beauty in the simple things. It is that presence, no matter where you are, whether traveling or at home. And I think, you know, sometimes at home people need even more presence versus the thrill, whatever that thrill is, whether it's, you know, a promotion or buying this or buying that or whatever. It's you know, peeling it back and coming back to just actually the simple things, and that's where so much of the beauty lies. So I think, that's a powerful message that translates across the board. So well done, Katie. That was great message. But then say for the likes of, you know, budgeting, and when like that, if you're overstretched at certain times, I know you kind of build websites every now and then. What kind of different services, or how do you kind of top up if you need to?
So yeah, I mean, we're trying to build the websites as much as possible. What we've basically done is we've self-taught, you know. I mean, the beautiful thing about traveling as well is that we have time now, right? We've lots of time. We don't dedicate
even with all your Instagram videos and information, because I'm like, it's a lot. Fair play to you.
I didn't know how much time I had until I met Katie.
And like 24 hours a day challenge accepted.
And now I use it all.
Yeah. Now you don't have a free second.
No.
No, but I think we've just been able to apply. I mean, setting up the website, for example, we didn't have a clue.
No,
we didn't have a clue.
Not a notion.
And then, you know, just sort of tapping away at it every now and again, we just sort of fell into building websites. I think we did our first website for like an NGO school in Chile that we were volunteering at. He was like, I really like your website, can you do one for me? And we were like, yeah, no bother. Panicking. We were like, how do we do this? Getting onto YouTube and all, like watching tutorials, trying to figure it out.
See, Katie's philosophy on these things is very much say yes first and then panic.
Yeah, that's exactly how Richard Branson did it. That's his motto. He's like, say yes, then figure out how to do it. So
Exactly.
It's the same with me in the podcast. I'm just going for it and figuring
it out
as I go
Just
along.
go for it. Like, you're going to be in the exact same position you started out on, you know. But yeah, I think we then fell into it, and then when the confidence grows a bit, we just started saying, do you know what, we'll start offering this out and see. And the beautiful thing is that we offer such a low rate. I mean, we've had websites quoted ourselves, and it's expensive. It's very expensive, and it almost seems impossible, especially for people who are starting out, maybe a new blog or a new business. So we were like, you know what, we'll do it for you. We'll do it for whatever budget you have, or to a low cost, because the money, we can afford to do that. As in, I mean, we'd love to be charging like 800-900 quid like people are, but we don't have to, because if we charge 300, it's 2 weeks budget for us. So one website takes us a couple of days. It's 2 weeks, you know. So I'm finding it definitely, we're getting more and more work in.
And you're probably finding new avenues as well, like that, when you kind of begin to get curious and see, what's out there and what are the possibilities. Kind of all sorts of things begin to open up.
The ball sort of rolls, isn't it?
Yeah. We've kind of got it. We've got a lot of balls in the air at the moment.
We've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
It's just actually stopping, isn't it? We need to stop and just kind of spend a good month or two. We've lots of different ideas of how we could probably, you know, make money in terms of a nice exchange. I think that's the most important thing, because we've been approached to do these collaborations and to be sponsored and stuff like that. And as tempting as it is, there's a part of us that, I mean, for example, my dad, he's very much like, why aren't you making money from this? Like, in his line of business, he deals with a lot of influencers and stuff, and he's like, hey, these people are making thousands, and they just have to show up to these places, and why aren't you and it's like, because we, again, maybe it's back to the controlling thing, but like, we want our own voice. Like, we want to tell people how it is. We don't want to be influenced ourselves.
We made the unfortunate choice of branding ourselves as the very, very honest traveling people. And now the reality is that, like, we that's who we are. There's no way we could be anything other than that. Like, that is physically, it's who we are. It's all we know. We don't want to be anybody else, and we don't want. And I'm not saying people do sell themselves out for these things. I'm just saying that if we were to collaborate with people, a brand doesn't want to collaborate with you if you're going to say to them, listen, we'll have a look at it, but if it's crap, we're going to tell them it's crap.
You know, well, you've connected in, obviously, with your own truth and your own values and your own morals and higher consciousness. So unless it feels like a right fit as well, you know, cognitively, if it makes all sense, if it's not kind of pulling there at the heartstrings or at the intuition, you're clearly not going to do it. But again, eventually the right thing may come along. Who knows?
It may do,
just about being open and just exploring and like that, being inquisitive and just seeing what comes. Because like that, once you're plugged into that, you know, the universe will provide eventually.
That's it, exactly.
Because we just feel like we have a responsibility to ourselves and to our followers to maintain the level of integrity that we've put into the blog so far.
And like, let's face it as well, right? Like, people, I mean, we've shot up in followers. It's been crazy. It's been we've never predicted this.
I think it's thanks to your videos. That 5 video was like unreal. Again, but it shows your sense of humor and, you know, who ye are and your integrity, like you said, Lou.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's the one thing. We genuinely do have a laugh. Every day we have a laugh. And if we can sort of have a laugh with other people as well, like, that's a massive bonus, you know. And it's I mean, there's nothing better than getting a message off someone going, lads, you've made my day. This was gas. Or
totally.
Do you know what I mean? It's deadly. But I also think we've gained the followers because they want to see the reality, and people are a bit sick of bullshit. They want to see a bit of truth to it, and I think they want to see another side. And let's face it, they love to see us in disastrous situations, which we're in a lot.
Yeah.
So you know, if there was a brand that's like, guys, you know, let's offer you this lovely hotel that you can stay in and review, or, you know, why don't you look at getting this wonderful cruise or these free flights? It's like, people don't want to see us sitting in first class or sleeping in a lovely bed. They want to see us in the shitholes. And you know, and it's sort of like, that's where our feet is, and that's where we're most comfortable, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, and that's so true. Like, people, I suppose, in one sense, at times, you know, or at different stages in life, we all kind of wear a mask or have a front on, you know, for society and whatnot. But I think in only being our true selves and speaking our truth and seeing others being them true selves, it's actually like, oh, well, hang on a second. Why am I so bothered? Like, you know, I think it definitely opens up a new space and a perspective and a conversation for people to be like, here, look, you know, why am I holding up this pretense of that? I can just be normal and have people like me, you know, like everyone else.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because we have a lot of people that would follow us and stuff that don't want to travel. have never wanted to travel and have absolutely no intention of traveling. And the reason they follow us is because they're like, oh God, I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! Like, thank God I get to watch this now from the comfort of my own couch with a cheese toasty and a cup of tea. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's absolutely
and I think the other side is out there. Isn't there? Like there's definitely enough people out there showing the better sides of travel. But definitely, like, more power to them. Like, there's lots of people we follow and we're like, they're dead right. Why not?
But it should be nice every now and again to fly first class.
Absolutely,
I wouldn't say no. I know
for sure. But I just think then that I mean, again, there are very few people that we follow that do things not the way we do it, but like do things very frugally. They're very budget conscious, and when we follow them, we just relate to them a bit more, a little bit. They're just more relatable to us, and
the human side.
That's what we want to do. We want to be a bit more relatable to people as well. We don't look good. Our whites aren't
brilliant.
I have roots down to my cheeks.
That.
Do you know what I mean?
I
haven't shaved in a week. It's all right.
Lose that attitude. You look amazing and you're doing brilliant and showing your true selves, which is absolutely perfect and lovable and really nice as it is. So just keep doing your thing. I can't believe where the time is going. I literally could talk all day, but okay, just start, I suppose, just to touch on, maybe some places you've been. You started in South America, or do you have any favourite hemisphere or countries or country or kind of where in general? I know it's hard because every place has its highlights, but is there anywhere in particular that stands out still?
Of all the places we've been so far, I'm gonna say I personally would be more of a Latin America kind of guy.
Yeah.
Mostly because I speak fluent Spanish, and that makes life a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I would say, I think, I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here, but our goal eventually would be Colombia.
Yeah.
Oh, what an incredible place.
Yeah.
It just completely grabbed us.
Just stole our hearts completely. We would like to eventually, maybe buy a little bit of land somewhere in Medellin, have some animals, grow some vegetables.
Can I come visit?
You can indeed, standing reservation.
Oh, Colombia is unreal. It literally blew me away as well, and one of my favourites. Really, not surprised me, because I'd heard a lot of people saying they loved it, but just the people, the culture, how they've transformed, from one of the most murderous countries or cities in the world to now, like, they are so incredible. I think they're just so mind-blowing as a people and just so friendly, and even the landscape was so lush and tropical and beautiful, and definitely got my heart.
It's crazy to think. Yeah, it's crazy to think that like less than 20 years ago, Medellin would have been the murder capital of the world.
Yeah.
And now it's just completely transformed. It is a beautiful, beautiful city.
Yeah. And then we always say, like, Colombia has it all, because you've got like the Caribbean coast, you've got the Amazon jungle, you've got the snowy peaks, you've got the coffee farms, like you've got the big cities. It has everything.
It's like the licorice all sorts of countries.
It really is. And then we always say that the Colombians, they remind us so much of the Irish, they're very cheeky, they have the best sense of humour. They're just better looking Irish people. They're just better, and they
speak Spanish and
dance a bit better, exactly.
And did you go
so we do feel a bit at home there.
Yeah, they're amazing. And did you go to the jungle, to the Amazon?
A couple of times. Yeah, a few times.
How was
we ended up in the Amazon jungle unbelievable. Every time, every single time. It's just it's a really magical place. There's this unique energy in the Amazon jungle that you won't find anywhere else in the world. Like, it's just unbelievable. And we spent a month.
I was going to say, did you spend much time there? Did you stay with shamans? Did you engage in plant medicines?
Oh yes, absolutely. Tick all the boxes. So we went and we spent what was supposed to be a couple of weeks living in the jungle just outside of Pucallpa in Peru. We ended up staying there for like 6 weeks, I think.
Just over a month.
Wow. We lived with a shaman of the Shipibo tribe.
Yeah.
And the reason he was there, he normally lives in Cusco, but he was there because he was actually tending to the vines. He was growing the ayahuasca vines.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we went and we helped, look after. We taught his daughters English, and in return, they basically put us up we lived in a tree, basically in the Amazon jungle for a month. No internet, no nothing. Just completely disconnected, and learned all about the medicine and the plants, and spent time with this guy who just paints and sings all day. It was absolute heaven.
That is some incredible experience. I can only imagine. I'm well jealous I didn't get that opportunity, but wow. Tell us more. What was it like? Is it disconnecting from, the internet, outside world, all that? But I'm sure you absolutely connected with yourselves.
Oh, big time. I mean, even just taking it was probably one of the only time I'd say that we did mentally stop, didn't it? We were just, our brain, our mind, everything just quietened down, everything slowed down. Our bodies started adjusting to little things, like we woke up as the sun was coming up. We're not early morning people at all. We were asleep when as it got darker. We would react to nature from everything from sounds to smells. We adapted completely. So, I mean, there was no running water, for example. So, you're washing out of buckets. You're literally like going to the loo like a cat, litter box, and it's just, you're eating the best of the best, because obviously everything is being grown around you.
Yes.
And just being with a shaman, someone who's so connected with Pachamama, with Mother Nature, with the jungle, it's contagious. It's contagious. And again, talk to us 2.5-3 years ago, we squeal if we see a spider. I can't handle stuff. And there we are, living, there was tarantulas in our tree house, there was a possum there, we had snakes. And you're in the dark, walking to the toilet, and you just adjust. You adjust and you adapt to. And
oh my God, that's incredible.
It was so free, wasn't it? It was pure freedom.
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
That is savage. That sounds literally like a once in a lifetime opportunity as well. And then how was your experience with ayahuasca? I'm assuming you did it a couple of times if you were there for a month.
Yeah. We did it in Peru, but we've done it a lot more in Colombia. And the reason is because we actually are a part of a community in Colombia. We spent 4 months back and forth in Colombia, and we basically lived and volunteered on the chocolate farm there. And the woman who owns this farm is a part of a community who works with the Putumayo tribe near the Amazon, down in like the southeast, would you say? No, southeast?
Yeah.
Near the Amazon anyway, Putumayo region. And she holds ayahuasca ceremonies. So we were actually a part of organising ceremonies. And it would be for both locals, tourists, and also people flying in from the US and stuff like that. We met some incredible people from all walks of life who turned to the plant for many different reasons. And it was amazing to be a part of that. We took ayahuasca every single time. And we were, dealing directly with these shamans. It's a therapy and a health check and a complete connect. It's so hard to describe. And it's funny because when we first did it, I remember saying to my mom, my dad, and I was like, "Oh, read up on it, let me know what you think." And of course my mom rings me absolutely open arms, like, "What are you doing? You're better than this. Like, where are you? You're sitting in some jungle, like, with this hippie community taking drugs." And then but then when I told her about my experience and about things that happened to me with it when I was taking the medicine, it blew her mind, and it blew my dad's mind. They are very much when then we continued on working with this community, they're very content with the fact that I have actually found my therapy. I found my release. And it makes them happy. It makes them happy because, I mean, I tell you, the medicine has done things that no GP, no pharmaceutical no medication, no book, nothing. No one. It's I've connected with myself in a way that I didn't need a outsider. I didn't need to outsource.
Yeah, can 100% agree. And for anyone who may not know, ayahuasca is an ancient plant medicine that shamans and kind of indigenous cultures within the Amazon would have used for millennia, for whether ailments or illnesses or insights or for going hunting and loads of different things. And it's unfortunate that, and again, it kind of comes back to our own perception, and we can only deal with things at the level of our own awareness and perception. And a lot of people have lumped it in as just a drug, and oh my god, it's a drug and it's hallucinogenic and it's bad, whereas actually it's not at all. It can bring so many insights and clarity in that. And
yeah, I mean, the unfortunate reality is like anything, like all of the sacred plant medicines, like tobacco, like marijuana, everything, it has been corrupted and turned into a business. This is the problem.
Exactly.
And they always say the same thing, is when you stop using it as a medicine and you start using it or abusing it as a drug, that's when things go wrong.
Yeah. Yes.
So for example, in Peru, you can buy a bottle of yahe from a taxi driver, you know what I mean, and he'll sell you a little Coca-Cola bottle full of the medicine, but if you don't have the shaman there for the correct guidance,
it's worthless to you.
It's worthless to you.
It's worthless.
You know what I mean? Because like the whole thing is the ceremony. 9/10 of it is actually discussing it afterwards with the people that you're there with and with the shaman and going through all that kind of stuff.
And even the preparation, like you stick to a strict diet. You mentally prepare for it because you have to detox every aspect of your mind, physically and mentally, before you take this medicine, because it's the only way. You need to like break down all these barriers, and then when you take the medicine, then you're cleansed in a way that it can actually do its job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is, and I mean, when we meet people who are interested in ayahuasca, we actually send them to Colombia. We send them, we say, ring this number. Do not go to anyone other than this person, because everyone goes to Peru. And don't get me wrong, we're not saying anything. Like I said, we stayed with one of the best shamans from the Shipibo tribe in Peru. But again, we send everyone to Colombia because in Colombia it's not business. The shamans there, they don't have Facebook pages and they don't arrange ceremonies, and it's still it's very authentic and it's very sacred to them. So we always send people there because there's so many, even Westerners, there's a lot of foreign people going into Peru. They're learning how to be a shaman and they're putting on their own ceremonies. Again, more power to them. But personally, for me, I would only go to someone who has lineage with this medicine, whose ancestors have worked with this medicine. They have spent their whole lives with this medicine. You know, I mean, it's like you wouldn't go to a mechanic to
have your teeth
checked. You know, you go to the professional, and the shamans are the only professionals. Even if you've studied under the greatest shaman, I still would only recommend go to a shaman.
Yeah, I agree. And like that, I know when I heard about it, it's ayahuasca calls you, it finds you.
Yes.
You don't go looking for it. And I know that absolutely happened to me. And then like a year later or something, when it came up for me again, I was like, what? Where is this coming from? I was like, no, I said never. I'm like, why is this calling me? So yeah, it's funny. And like that, you know, I would definitely agree to tune into your gut, to find a shaman, someone you trust and you want to work with, like get that feeling. Because I know even like that, a friend of mine just went and did it herself, and she'd be like, she's totally like anti my way. I was like, oh God, no way. I'd have no interest in doing it that way. Because again, I was like, it's a medicine, and it's through the integration and the talkings and everything afterwards that, you know, a lot of the insights and clarity and whatnot came. I was like, there is absolutely no way in the world I'd ever just want to take it just myself. I was like,
no way. And again, like we always say to people, because people are always fascinated when they talk to us about it, and they're like, what's it like? Tell us your experience. And I'm like, look, I'll tell you some things, but I never go into it in full detail, because one, it's very personal to me, as in no one can possibly understand. Like me and Luke talk about it all the time, and little things still to this day. We haven't taken ayahuasca since March 2008, and still to this day, little things connect, little things happen. And I'd say it to Luke, but it means nothing to him. I can say it until I'm blue in the face. It means nothing to him. It only means something to me. It's very personal. Absolutely. And as much as I say, like, of course, research, make sure it is for you, make sure it's calling you. Although if you're in any doubt, the reality is that it's not ready for you and you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Because I think the minute it connects with you, the minute it calls you, you're drawn to it, and that's it. You're gunning for it. You're ready for it.
Yes.
And I always say, like, of course, do your research, like, but I always say to people, research the shaman, research the community you're going to go to, research the place. Don't Google everyone's experience on it, because it will mean nothing to you. And you're going to go in with a preconceived, like you go in expecting something, and that's not how it works. You need to go in like a child. Go in pure curiosity and trust. Hold his hand, listen to him. Take your medicine and just relax into it. You can't describe it. It just it's a very personal thing. So I always say to people, don't wreck your brain with it either.
No, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, just if it's calling you, like you say, you'll go. Don't be reading about other people's experiences, like you say. If you get that urge or that nudge, it's strong, and you'll find
it's
the right
time.
place for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll know.
You'll know. Look, oh my God, the time is flying away. And do you have any kind of ideas or what's next? Any big visions or any plans to go back to Ireland at any stage, or just kind of keep going for the moment and see till you save up enough to buy that plot in Colombia?
Maybe a flying visit if a windfall allows, but there's some things floating around in the ether at the moment. We are currently hatching a plan to move on to.
You're hatching a plan to move on to, and then it dropped. Secret to be continued.
And then gone. That's it. Exactly.
Cliffhanger.
Well, cliffhanger, exactly. Da, da, da. Well, look, for people who want to keep in touch with you and your adventures and your travels, where should they go?
You can find us online at www.theungracefulguide.com, or you can find us at Ungraceful Guide across every manner of social media you could possibly imagine. Because
Instagram is best, though.
Every time a new one comes out, Katie's like, we need to get on that, because obviously just to fill up the time, Karen, you know yourself. Now, Instagram is probably your best bet. Our Instagram profile is
if you're going traveling, go check out our website. Maybe there might be something that will spark an interest or inspire you or whatever, or if you need the information. If you have no plans to go travelling, or if you do have plans to go travelling and you just want a bit of a laugh and see a bit of the world, come join us on Instagram. That's the best way. You'll get daily updates on our antics and...
disclaimer, you will probably see me in a thong more than once. That's all
and we curse a lot, so heads up on that.
No,
if you don't like blasphemy, we're not for you.
I highly, highly recommend everybody checking out, like you say, your blog and your Instagram, and kind of going from there, because you're definitely worth kind of tuning into, for the laughs and also for the insights and the travels and the realities and all the fun. And like that, honestly, I could keep talking to you for ages, because like that, there's so much more we could talk about. But
to be continued over a cup of tea when we do get home, Karen.
Exactly. Whenever you move on to your next place or something as well, that to be continued segment that dropped out, we'll pick up right there. But guys, I wish you every best wish, and like that, I will be staying tuned, and can only tell everyone else to tune in, and like that, just suppose stay open, stay curious, and connecting in, and I'm absolutely sure everything will work out for you, and your windfall will come yet.
Thank you so much. It was such a great conversation. Really enjoyed this. Thanks a million.
Thanks again for tuning in, and for full show notes and links, log on to www.karenmaloneywellbeing.com and click podcasts. And be sure to subscribe so you get a notification every time a new episode is launched. And like, share, and generally spread the love.